So this is day 3. I guess if you can call it my panic disorder journey after a pretty severe incident a couple days ago where I had some of the worst panic I've had in years. And it set me back a little bit and really threw my confidence off and set my train of thinking back to that, oh no, when is this going to happen again? And when am I going to feel normal again? Yesterday morning, I saw my therapist after emailing him the day before saying like I need to get in here sooner than my scheduled appointment. So I went in and he also agreed that it's more or most likely that because of everything that was going on, family stuff, the emotions were running high, it's pretty expected that I had the reaction that I did. And it was such a shock to me, maybe because I didn't see or feel any of those build up red flags. So when it happened, it was a very big oh no reaction. So we recommended a few things, or he recommended a few things. One of them, where like worst case scenario type of stuff, is if things don't get better, we could look at something called ketamine infusion therapy, in which they use, I guess, low doses of ketamine that they infuse, like they give to you while you're doing therapy with your therapist. So like in the office, you're with this, I don't know if it's an anesthesiologist or whoever is administering the ketamine, and the therapist to kind of reorient your brain and your thinking and your mindset. At first, it was kind of scary to hear that, like, you know, your stomach drops. You're like, oh my God, am I that severe? Is it that bad that I would need this type of intervention? The other thing we talked about too is contacting my psychiatrist and maybe upping the medicine that I'm currently taking, which I'm taking the lowest dose of it. So if we need that to be increased, that's another option also. The rest of the day, I really just tried to be active, and my thoughts were all over the place. And for anyone who's experienced this type of panic or knows anyone with this or any type of anxiety, your body reacts to it. So yesterday, my appetite was up and down, running to the bathroom pretty often. Definitely felt my heart throbbing at certain points. For me, I find that talking and being active helps me get out of here, because when I'm alone with this, that's when things get at their worst. And my thinking can go as severe as I can't live like this, which then makes me feel guilty and shameful of leaving my children without a father. And then that just steamrolls. So I'm really trying hard to not focus on this, but focus on this. Even writing, which I've been doing a lot more of the last few days. Talking to people. I've been very talkative. Engaging in things. I took my kids shopping yesterday or to different stores before we ate. I forced myself to eat dinner. But even during dinner, I was like very actively trying not to think about eating or how my body feels, just kind of focus on other stuff so I can just eat and digest naturally instead of like feeling sick. I definitely, for myself, and I don't know if other people feel like this too, but one of my big triggers or worries is if my body physically doesn't feel right, like I don't have an appetite or I have a knot in my chest or my stomach, I automatically start to freak out and be like, oh my God, this is not good. Something's wrong. Where usually in the past, like I always tell people, for me, if I have an appetite, I'm fine. Like I'm not nervous. My digestive system and brain are just married to each other, which is very unfortunate. Because I've always had digestive issues, and this is probably why. It's more what's called IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome. It's pretty much a term that doctors came up with when they couldn't find a medical or biological cause for stomach issues, and they pretty much assumed, and they're probably right, like it's just stress. It's just nerves. It's your brain doing stuff to your body that it shouldn't be doing. So the rest of yesterday, like I said, I was doing a lot of talking with people, connecting, doing things different this time than last time where I dealt with something this severe, I isolated a lot. This time I'm reaching out to people, talking. Yesterday I talked to two of my closest friends where we were all crying, or during each conversation, in person or on the phone, crying with each other, hugging each other. Definitely felt, very loved and supported, which is great. And thankful. Went into my office to see the people that I work with. There was only 2 people, but that was good. I did some work on the phone with one of the kids I work with from home. And even during that, I was very active. I was walking around. I was on my computer a little bit. I was just making sure that I was really engaged with him and not just stuck up here. After that, I went to Boy Scouts last night with my little guy, and again, was just very focused on talking and engaged in that work. I definitely was feeling better, but almost manic and hyper. I was talking fast and moving fast. And as the night went on, I started to feel okay. I was, in bed with my kids, and we were reading and doing whatever. And I ended up listening to some nature sounds with some music on a YouTube channel, and passed out for an hour. My wife came home from a thing she had. I got ready for bed and passed out. I probably woke up after 7.5 hours of sleep, which is good. And I felt good. Right when I woke up, I felt like me for about the first 10 or 15 minutes. And then that feeling came back, which is very disheartening, because you get a glimmer of hope for a few minutes of, oh my God, here I am. This is how I normally feel. I feel like me again. I'm not worried about this. I'm not stuck in my head. I'm not in that place where I've been the last few days. But then you start thinking, when is this going to end? How long is this going to last? And then right when those thoughts start, it all comes back. So for me, a lot of that tightness here, that chest, that gut area, I start using my self-talk, where, it gets pretty severe, where my worst case scenarios go to, survival and just coping with today. For me, I know I'm using a lot of the same kind of sayings where I'm trying to embed it in my brain. When it comes to thoughts about even suicide or self-harm, or me sticking around and having to live like this another 50 years, one of the thoughts that helps me is, well, I obviously am supposed to be here and I have a purpose, and I don't think God or the higher power, whatever it is, would let me, that wouldn't be his purpose to just let me suffer. And if he needs me, or if I'm supposed to die, then something will happen. I'll have a heart attack in my sleep. I'll get hit by a car, or who knows. If I'm not, it means I'm supposed to be here. So that's helped me a lot. Having that as one of my kind of backup thoughts. Also, my worst case scenarios of, okay, if I still feel like this in the next few days, there's things I can do, like saying earlier what my therapist or psychiatrist and I were talking about. There's at least a finish line where, okay, if I don't feel like myself by this day, then I'm going to do A or B. And that helps me at least to know that there's a finish line. It's not, well, I'm going to suffer like this the next 50 years. So I have to keep reminding myself, okay, if I still feel this way by this day, I'm not stuck. I use that term as well, where wherever I am, I'm not stuck. Or I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. I'm not obligated. I'm not forced into a situation where I can't do anything to make myself feel better. So I also remind myself that, this thing that I'm worried about, it won't kill me. It's uncomfortable, but I've dealt with it before. I've learned how to cope with it. I can tell people what I need in the moment, and most people will understand and be pretty empathetic about it and supportive. The rest of today, I plan on doing some things to keep me active. I play the drums, or I'm still trying to get better playing the drums. So that's a very good mindful activity for me, because that's something that when you're playing drums and really focusing on like what you're doing, it's very hard to be stuck up here. I was probably going to go to the gym and play basketball, because that's another one where when I'm really engaged in it, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm pretty tired. I don't know if I'm going to be able to like fall asleep or take a nap, but if I can, great. I'm going to go to the office for like 45 minutes to see one person to do like an intake with, and then I have gymnastics with my little guy, and that's pretty much it. So I'm literally just trying to focus on today and just getting through today, and whatever I'm going to be doing, thinking about what I'm doing and not about tomorrow or having to deal with this for the next 30 years or anything. Thank you for listening. Like always, please feel free to share this with anyone you think this will be helpful for, either people dealing with something similar or loved ones or people living with those who deal with this type of panic disorder. If you have any questions, feel free to write on the page or make any comments, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.